Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to session 3, I guess it
Three.
is. Yeah. And can everybody see us and hear us? First of all, let's make sure my technology is working. Just let us know in the comments if everything is okay at your end. I'm sort of monitoring this on here from my end. And while people are doing that, and hopefully you can see us, we'll say good morning. KD is here. Diane from Rainy, North Carolina. Faith from Pennsylvania. Dan is here, of course, from Regina, Saskatchewan. Ron is here from the Nova Scotia. Balloonist is here from Arizona. Fabric Crafts by DJ is here. And Gail and Beverly and Priscilla from snowy Southeast Ohio.
Yes.
Yeah, are you getting snow?
We are getting snow this morning, yes.
We're supposed to be getting snow later today, and it's another storm of the century, don't you know?
They claim that for here, and it's not quite.
I don't anticipate it will be.
What we get it first, and then you get it.
Yeah,
so I don't think it's going to go over the century.
Yeah, it blows up from you guys.
Yeah.
So all is well. Priscilla, did I say hello to Priscilla? Hello, Priscilla, if I didn't. Beverly. I think I said hello to Diane. Anna. Good morning. Cheryl's here. So, and Kim is here. And Marianne is here. So I guess we've got the gang is here, and I'm sure a few more people will be coming in. So, So people, I hope you were able to get your HSTs together, or at least some of them. And some of you did send me pictures of the HSTs. Some of you sent me some fabric that you didn't show us last week. So we're going to start with that in a moment. Just a note, someone threw in something at the last minute to Stephanie this morning, and you will not see it today, but you will see it next week. Okay. So, if you're cutting it close to the wire, don't worry. If it doesn't get shown this week, we'll show it the next week for you. Okay, and is there anybody else new? Sue's here from Missouri, and
I think Jeannie came in.
Yep, Jeannie is in. So,
good morning, everybody.
So, anyways, before we just leap right in, just to give another couple of seconds or two to get a few more people if they're coming in late. Should never be late. No. It's the school teacher in me. I will beat you. Yeah. You're just lucky I can't go through the screen. Yeah. But anyways, no, it's okay. I was going to say, so Stephanie, what have you been working on besides this?
No worries. I've got my first 2 quadrants done. I'm working in quadrants. If you guys remember from last week, we started talking about quadrants as opposed to rows. So I've got those 2 done and sewn together. And now I'm just finishing trimming up the last of my half square triangles.
Ooh, that's pretty fabric.
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah.
Well, I managed to get, I kind of cut you off there, Stephanie. What else have you been working on?
Oh, no, that's fine.
That's okay.
Not a whole lot this week, to be honest with you. I've been playing catch up on some of my block of the months that I've got going on, and had a lot of shop orders, which, yay. So I haven't got a lot of sewing done because I've been working on those. So, yeah.
Busy. Yeah, I've been working on this sew along as well. I've got all my units together. In fact, I've got the whole thing together. But I'm not showing that to you today. Just a little bit, and I'll talk about it later because I will, because I am in the idiot quilter. I put a couple of my blocks in wrong. It looks fine, but all will be revealed next week about that. Okay, it just wouldn't be a creation by me unless there was something that I slightly screwed up on, and I'm sure Walter will find it.
I was just going to say, you have to give Walter something to look at.
Oh, yeah. I'll give him a look at it. He'll look at it for like less than 30 seconds. He'll go, yeah, that. Right there. That. Yep. And then I take a big stick and hit him over the head. No, I don't want to. And the one I showed you guys last week, which I was started with, that I was doing the 5-inch squares, and it was all, you saw the top last week. Well, I have it quilted now, and it's sitting on my sewing machine as we speak, and I'm putting binding on it. So I'm hopefully today I will have the binding all, well, I know I will have the binding all done today. And next week, maybe I'll show you how that one's turning out. That's turning out to be one of my favorites right now. I'm really liking it, even though it was a complete screw up.
Oh, I love the colors you picked for that one. That's going to be really nice. I can't wait to see it.
To be honest, I think I like it better than the one I'm doing with the 10-inch squares, but we'll see. But, you know, mistakes, they all quilt out. So you just tell yourself.
It wasn't a mistake. It was a design choice.
It was. It was a customization. Yes, that's what it was. Okay, so just see who's popped in now, and then we'll get really started. March Ann is here from Florida, and Dawn from Cameron Mills, New York. Lucy's here from New Jersey. Sly from Rocky Mountain, North Carolina. And Pamela's here as well. So,
good morning.
I think what we're going to do right now is I'm checking my agenda, is I'm going to show the fabrics that came in late, so we get a sense of what other people are working on. So I'm just going to switch my screens over here. Just give me 1 second. And I want to go here, share, and bingo.
Ooh, very nice to start off with here.
And it should blow up here in a second for you.
Yep, I can see it.
It'll come back. Don't worry. I'm flipping screens here. And I'm watching on my iPad that gives me a sense of what you guys are seeing. Okay, there we go. So let me get my list here so I don't mix up anything. So this is the fabrics that March Ann is going to be using. Very colorful.
Very pretty. That'll
look nice. And of course, both of us are probably being attracted to the blues.
Oh, I'm drooling over those blues and those greens.
And it's all batiks too, so that's going to look nice.
Yeah.
And these are Dawn's fabrics.
Oh, cute.
I love the bees.
I do too. Those are adorable.
That's gonna be really cool with the bees on it.
Yeah.
Totally different vibe. And then
I can't wait to see that one.
And these are Debbie's. She's got them laid out here.
Oh, she's got some, the green and purple.
Yeah. And she's got here a color card with the other fabrics in the line. I'm not sure if she's planning to use all these fabrics or she's just going to stick to these two. Actually, these three, I think that would be enough.
Yeah, they're really beautiful.
Yeah, because you really can't show off the sunflowers that well because that's a big print in it. But either way, it's going to be nice. So those were our latecomers and HSTs. So here we go. So that's another.
It's the bee's knees.
Okay, I don't know what did I do here. Oh, these are HSTs. Yes, they are. Okay, that's Sue Norfleet. That's her HSTs.
Ooh,
those will look nice.
Love them.
And this is one HST with the fabric we were just talking about from Debbie.
Okay, that's pretty.
Yep. And with the combination of that other color she's got, that's going to look really nice.
Yes.
And here, we've got a brown noser coming right in here. Got the whole unit one together, which is fine. I love the look of that texture. The way it's almost, it buzzes.
That's really cool. It gives it a lot of movement.
Yeah, that's going to look really neat. And that is Peggy's. And next up we have Celie. And she's got hers all laid out. Nice.
Cute. That's so sweet.
That's going to look great. And now Mary Ann wasn't sure how to send one picture, so she sent 3 of hers.
Okay.
So I think these might be a progression. Yeah, that's nice. I'm thinking Valentine's.
Yeah, that does.
On that one. And here's another shot of that.
Okay. And
here's her third shot as well.
Oh, very nice. Good contrast in the fabrics.
Yeah, that's going to look really good.
Yeah.
So that was Mary Ann. Then Kathleen, she made hers into a wall hanging and she's done.
Very cute. Oh, I love that the dark blue center really pops.
It does. And with using the binding in the dark blue as well, really offsets the whole thing. And that's, I never thought of it as a wall hanging. And she used the smaller squares in this. So so if you're not interested in making a full-size quilt for this, there's an option for you.
Really nice.
And that was Kathleen, I said. Now Pam, here, blues again.
Ooh.
Oh, the orange really stands out with the,
It does. That looks great.
yeah, love that. And this pile is Faith's.
Ooh, pretty. I
Again,
love those boutiques.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. In fact, I think I have some of those in my collection. And March.
Oh, I like that too.
Well, that
I
looks
love that
good.
little bit of green up there.
Yeah. And I'm thinking that yeah, the little bit of green up here is really going to look good when if she's going to do the other ones like that, she'd have really a nice green square in the center.
Yeah.
Or diamond, I guess it is. This is a little on the side. Sorry, I should have flipped that before I took it, but that's Heidi.
That's nice.
And again,
it looks like Ohio State colors.
And I love the texture in this too, like on both, you know, they're kind of, one's the stripy and then these swirlies, they go together really nice.
Very nice.
And then Shirley Young, she's got her first unit laid out.
That's with those geometric blues. Yeah.
Yeah, that looks really great too.
Really good. Yes.
And this is where you get a good example of the lights and the darks, like the points being in the darks, how it makes the star really show up on this.
Yeah.
And last one is Pamela. And Pamela's got her half square triangles here together. And she's using that novelty fabric, which I think is going to look really cool when she gets the pieces
school
all
time
together.
Stuff. Yeah.
That'll be nice. And I think she said that's going to be a gift for a friend. So
her daughter's a school teacher.
Oh, okay. Oh, she's going to love that. She's going to want to she'll want to hang this in her classroom for sure.
Yeah. Very nice, everybody. Those look great.
You did great.
Oh, I'm so excited. Thank you for sharing and showing us all your different fabrics. That's really cool.
Yeah, when these get all done and we have a little mini trunk show kind of a thing of the finished ones, it's going to be fantastic.
Yes.
With it. So, just see now, anybody making comments here that I've missed?
Nothing I think that we need to answer. Just saying love the boutiques, love these fabrics, love. So, thank you guys for sharing. That's great. I love seeing it all.
I do too. So, the next thing we want to talk about is, and some of you have gone ahead and that's fine with it because we said by all means do, and everybody's at different levels of their experience here with quilting. So the next thing, of course, is when your half square triangles are all done, putting the whole shamucky thing together. Yeah, with it. And there is a couple of tips and tricks that we want to tell you about, but I did a video showing you my process. Now, I put it together as units, just like Stephanie has done as well, and we talked all about that last week. So I'm going to run the video here for you. Now, the video takes about 16 minutes, so, you know, if you want to grab a cup of coffee or something while this is on, I did speed up parts of it, and you'll know what parts are those, but I do give you some of my I kind of talk out loud to you as I'm going through the process of putting this together. So I'm just going to switch us over to that.
Good morning, Gail.
And okay, where did it go? Story of my life. It went off my... Oh, no, there it is right there. Okay, don't panic. And
there you are.
And there it is. And let us go.
So I thought I would show you how I put together my blocks for this sew along. Now you can see on my design wall that I have the first unit, as I want to call it, or the first really large block, which we have discussed already, laid out. I can't get all the blocks on my design wall, so I'm doing these one at a time. Now there's a couple of ways that you can sew this. If you're more comfortable with sewing row by row, you can do that. But my mind works a little differently for that. I don't see each of these as a separate unit for sewing. And so I've got 4 rows that have 4 blocks in them each, as opposed to doing a whole row that has 8 blocks. So I'm thinking this would be easier for me to handle, because you can see here I have a drop off on my sewing machine. And when you've got something that long that it goes over the edge of your extended table, it adds weight to what you're sewing, and that can cause you to sew or not to sew straight seams, okay? But whatever works for you. So this is what's going to work for me. So I'm going to show you how I put these blocks together. Now, before I do that, I'm using a camera situation that I seldom use. This is the best I can get. I wish I could get a little closer here to my sewing machine, but I can't. And it is a little fuzzy, the quality of the video. And again, that's because of my camera setup, and I can't do anything about it. Maybe someday I'll be able to get something a little bit more professional, but I hope this will be good enough for you to get the gist. And this is not a difficult process because I am sure you have sewn blocks before together. So I'm going to take the first row off the design wall. And this is something, I don't know about you, but me, I can get screwed up on this. So I'm taking them off in the order that I'm going to sew them. So I'm going to take this block 1, and I'm going to put block 2 on top of it. And then what I do, so I don't get screwed up, is I take a clip and I just clip those 2 blocks together, and I put the clip on the edge that I'm going to sew. And I'm going to do that with the second block as well. And take another clip and just put that on the edge. I'm not lining these up yet. I'm just putting this clip on so I know this is the edge that I want to sew on. So I'm going to take them back over to the sewing machine. And these are my first 2 blocks of that row. Take the clip off, and then I'm going to line them up at the top so that my edges are together. Now, this is a really easy 2 blocks to sew because there are no seams that I need to match at this point. This is not going to be the situation with all the other ones necessarily. So I'm going to drop my needle. I do this. I have my 1/4 inch foot in my sewing machine. Just make sure my edges are in alignment. Now you could clip these all the way along if you want to make sure, but I'm pretty comfortable doing it the way I'm doing it here. And the reason I drop my needle down is because now this machine is really good on, but on some machines you may get corners sucked down into your machine. So you could use a leader for that, which is just, I have one over here. It's just a little scrap of fabric that you put under the needle first before you start sewing the main block, and just sew through that, and that keeps your corners from going down, usually into your sewing machine. But as I said, this sewing machine has a lot of feed dogs, so I don't have any problem. And I'm just pushing my fabric, just touching the edge of the needle, lining it up, and away we go. And I think I could be sewing a little faster than that. And I'm just going to adjust to make sure everything is lined up on my edges. These are large squares, so yeah, you may have to adjust occasionally, like I'm going to do right now. Now I'm going to do what's called chain stitching, or chain sewing. So I'm going to grab my second couple of blocks. Got it oriented right because my little clip is right here, so I know this is the edge I want to sew on. Take that off and just do the same thing. Again, in the case of these 2 blocks, I don't have to line anything up. I don't have to match up seams. I just have to make sure everything is straight on the edges. Now, I'm just going to clip these apart. Some scissors here. Again, make sure you keep things in order. So I'm moving the first one that I sewed on top of the second couple of blocks that I sewed together. And I'm just going to move the bottom set over here out of my way, and I'm going to open this up. Now, when it comes to pressing, I'm going to want in the first row my seams to go to the left. So I'm just going to finger press them in that direction. I will hit them with the iron in a moment. And then the other one I'm going to open up. Do the same thing, just going to finger press my seams to the left on the first row. On the right row, I'll do it the opposite way so I can get my seams to nest. Okay, flip it. Now, I've got some seams that I need to line up. But what I'm going to do, because this is very large and it's just a diagonal seam, I'm just going to do what I did before. I'm lining up my edges to start with, drop my needle, put this under, and I'm just going to take a few stitches in. And now I'm going to come in and line this up along the edge and along that seam line of the diagonal with the one that's underneath it. Now you should be able to feel that. And I'm just adjusting things. I want to keep things straight at the top up here. And I'm readjusting. Don't be afraid to stop. Readjust as needs be. I do find sewing large squares like this a little awkward. So I have to do, frequent readjustments. That's why I like using charm packs. Those are a little bit easier. Okay, I've got my thread. And this is my first row. Done. And let me check my points. And they're pretty good. They're pretty good. So I'm going to take it over to my iron, and I'm going to press. So I'm pressing these seams to the right, or to the left, sorry, to the left. I like to hit them with a dry iron first, and then give it a little blast of steam. And just to make sure I have everything going in the direction I want it to, I'll turn it over to the back side and give them another press. The pressing is important because it allows you to nest your seams up all that much easier. And get, especially when you're dealing with things that are triangular or have points, it really does help you to line things up right. Now I am pressing this a lot. But you notice I'm not ironing, I am pressing. So I don't want to stretch any of the piece of it. But I do want this to lay fairly flat. Okay, so let's take this one back to our design wall. And there we have first row of unit 1, or large block 1, done. Now I'm going to continue on with this through each of the next rows. I'm going to do the same thing. But you'll notice here I do have some points I need to match up. So I'm going to, where it does happen, where the seams do line up, like on this one I'm just taking down here the diagonal. Again, take a clip. Now, it might be easier if I take this and I actually clip it, since I want to line up those diagonal seams. So I line up the edges. Maybe a little easier to do it here on my cutting table. And I'm just making sure that the seam, diagonal seam, I can feel the other seam underneath it. Put that in there, and I'm going to put a clip in. Put several clips in. And this may make my job just a little easier on these ones. So that's that block. I'll take these two blocks, and I'm going to do the same thing with those. Now, in this one's case, my seam for that diagonal is not going in the direction I want it to go in. So I'm just going to take it to the iron and put it in the direction I want it to go in. Okay, that's better. Now I should be able to line this up a little bit more easily. Yes, this does take a little bit more time than just slapping it on your machine and away you go, but you're going to get nicer points if you do that. So now we take it over to the machine. And we're just going to sew again down each side with a 1/4 inch seam on. And now press those to the right. Now this is where I usually, I'm checking my points here and they're looking pretty good. So I'm just going to flip it over the opposite way because I find it's easier for me to go from right to left than the other way when I'm ironing with my setup. But basically I am ironing these, although it doesn't look like it, to the right. And there's the next row. So I'm going to continue the next 2 rows, sewing them in the same way as I did the first 2, and then I'll come back and show you how I'm going to sew the rows together. Okay, so now I've got each of the rows sewn together. Now I want to sew the whole thing together. So I'm going to do it in a similar fashion. I'm going to take this top row, and I'm just going to peel it from my design wall, put it on top of the second row, take it here to the table. This is where you want to have a large space. And this is what I mean, that if you do it in the units, you don't need as much space as if you did the whole 8 blocks all the way across from one end of the quilt to the other. This is a little easier. So what I want to do is line up that center seam on both pieces. And because I press to the left and to the right, these should nest in there, and you can feel that. And I'm going to put in a clip. And then I'm just going to go to the next seam, and I'm going to do that as well, nesting those 2 seams together. Go over to this seam, nest it. Okay, that's looking good. Now I can take that and sew this seam. And there we have these first and the second row together. So I'm going to press the seams. Now, which way to press this seam? Well, I'm going to press towards the first row on this one. And ideally, if I remember, I will do that for the next row. So all of my seams will be going up on the first row or on the first unit. But in my second unit, I'll try to remember to press them down. That way, they'll be able to nest when I put the units together. The longer the seams, the better. And this goes for if you're going to do it on a domestic machine as well. So there, rows 1 and 2 are together. I'm going to do the same procedure with row 3 and 4, and then I'll come back and put the whole thing together. Okay, so now I have row 1 attached to row 2, row 3 attached to row 4. Now I'm going to attach this section to this section, and I'm going to do it in the same manner as I did with row 1 to row 2 or row 3 to row 4. So block is done. And here is our finished unit. There we go. And how are my points? Looking pretty good. About as accurate as I can possibly get them. And yeah, those are looking pretty good. So there you have it. That's how you put together the first rows. If you do it row, I would have continued this over here and then the same and then put it together. Or if you do it in the way my mind thinks, as a unit. Either way will work, whatever suits your style.
Okay, so I hope that gave you an idea of how to put it together if you're new to this. I was answering some questions along while the video was playing. And are there any other questions? And good morning, Sherlock. Anything for us that you would like to know? Is everything clear? Clear as mud?
That was very crystal clear, and you did a really great job. Thanks for making that.
I need a better camera when I do those kind of shots, because I'm sorry that was a little blurry there, but I can't do much about it because of the setup. But anyways, So Sue says, I couldn't get my head around pressing the opposite way because I didn't know how the layout would go. Yeah, well, there's nothing saying, too, that when you start putting the pieces and lining them up together, if your seams aren't going the way you want them, just take them over to your pressing station like I did with one of them in the video and just press it the way it, make it go, make it work. You are master of the fabric. Yeah.
Put the muscle into that and make it work.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions or anything? Anybody wants to know? I'm not seeing any, so I guess everybody is okay with it. It isn't difficult. We've said that since the beginning, even if I did screw up a couple of times. But, I mean, it's not difficult. It's just me. Wouldn't be me if I didn't screw up. Hi, Teresa. So, yeah, homework. All right, here's your homework. Complete at least one unit or a couple of 4 rows, okay? So whichever method you're using, whether you're doing it as a 1 unit piece or whether you're doing it row by row, your choice, whatever you're most comfortable with. And then send us a picture of your completed rows or units. Now, I suspect, because this is definitely an advanced class here of participants, a lot of you are probably going to have the whole thing sewn together by next week. And if you do, that is fine. Send us pictures of whatever you get done. If you don't get it done because life happens, that's okay. Don't worry about it. No pressure. All right. We are moving through this a lot faster than we had anticipated. And that's fine. That's great. No big deal. So, any other tips? No, I think they're all there. I will have in the show notes a summary of what you saw today. And there will also be the link to my email for sending your pictures to me as well. And anybody who sent anything in late will see that next week as well. So anything you want to say, Stephanie? I feel like this has been my whole show here today. I just kind of monopolized.
No, that's okay. I really appreciate you doing that tutorial. That was really great. So just thank you to everybody sewing along with us and for sending in your pictures, because I know I probably speak for Stephen too. I really enjoyed seeing all those. That was great.
It looks like Faith has a really good question here. Any tricks to squaring up the 9.5-inch HSTs? Do you want to talk about that? Because I know in your latest video there you were showing that with a different project.
Well, I'm using, here's my Husker triangle. Actually, I was just going to trim it. And I've got a ruler that's slightly bigger. I find that that's the easiest way for me. And this is a 10.5-inch actually ruler. So make sure that you're laying whatever ruler you have should have a 45-degree angle. Lay that right on the seam that you're about to trim and trim off very little bit of one side first, and then flip your block around. You'd hold it up. Hard to do on. Trim it very little bit on one side first, and then turn your block around and line it up to the measurement you need, so the 9.5, and then trim the other side. So
yep, And I used, well, I would have liked to have used on the 9.5, but my ruler wasn't big enough. I had one of those triangular ones, strip tube
Yes.
ruler. They are great for half square triangles for trimming them up. And I think in the HST video I showed last week, so if you go back to the video for last week, you will see how I use that. The only problem with it works well with the 5-inch squares, but when you're doing the 10-inch, it's not quite big enough, the one that I have. Now, I think I saw somebody wrote a comment at some point on one of the videos saying they got a larger one of those. So they were able to do the trimming up to 9.5 on it. But I really like using those because you don't have to open up your square or your triangle. First of all, you do it along the seam line, and it does a great job. And then you press it open. So whatever works for you.
Yeah.
So
I've got a block ruler, and I've got the clearly perfect slotted trimmers. I don't have the one you're talking about, but none of them are big enough for this because these are big blocks. So that's how come I had to pull out the square ruler that's larger and trim it that way. So,
and like we said, there are different ways that you can do it, whatever you're most comfortable with. Go with that. And Dale says the sew along is fun. I'm enjoying it very much. Thank you, Stephanie Steele. Well, you are welcome, Dale.
Good.
We're glad that you are enjoying it. It brightens up our day to know that we're doing something that people enjoy, because that's the whole point of this. Ron says, for some reason, I have a 9.5-inch block. Well,
good.
Well, you mean like without having to trim it up? Well, you want to know something, Ron? That happened to me too, on most of mine too. So I had to do very little trimming. It means that your 1/4-inch seam allowance is perfect. In fact, you're probably working with a scant 1/4-inch with that, because a scant 1/4-inch usually works a little slightly better when you're working with half square triangles, I have found. My whole problem with the scant 1/4-inch is, one, I forget to set up my machine for it when I'm doing it, and two, I'm not sure how to do it. But
even if you if you're using a true 1/4, I mean, there's still not much coming off. That's it, strings.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting off both sides. So, yeah.
But one word of advice from my experience, even though, as Stephanie showed you, it's a tiny little amount, still trim it. Because you wouldn't, if you multiply that out by the number of blocks, if you didn't trim those down, it will throw your quilt out in the dimensions. Ask me how I
get asked all the time how to get your blocks perfectly lined up, because people see mine and they're like, wow, yours are always like square up everything. I'm telling you, it makes the difference, because I didn't know that when I first started either, and I would just sew stuff together and I'd get at the end of the row and it'd be all wonky, and I was like, what's going on? Nobody told me you need to make sure that all your pieces are the same size.
Yeah,
I promise you, I know it's extra work, but you will be happy because your quilt will come out looking a lot better. So
it will. And Ron says no, he meant the ruler, so he actually has a 9.5-inch square.
Perfect.
Really, so that works.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't think I have. Actually, maybe I have one of those too. I don't know. I have to look in my stash. Okay. So, any other questions right now before we say bye-bye? Everybody good?
I don't see any more.
No, not seeing anybody else coming up on the screen with anything. So, any final words before we leave, Stephanie?
No, I can't wait to see all of your quilt tops, because from what we've seen so far, oh my goodness, they're amazing. So I am really, really excited. Like, I don't know why. Today I woke up and I was kind of like not feeling like sewing, but now that I saw all of yours, now I'm excited to get mine done.
Yeah, I know. I actually had that feeling this morning too, because I got several projects on the go. And I wasn't going to put this whole thing together, but I got a burst of energy and thought, yeah, let's get this out of the way. Let's do that, because I've got another quilt to bind. And so that's what I'm going to run off to now. And everybody, join us next week. Remember your homework. Work on at your own pace and send us pictures of your progress. And we'll see you next week for the next edition. Okay, great, everybody. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Recording stopped.